Welcome into the ProBox TV studio. That's right, our Contender Series rolls on March 8th, Long Beach, California. An outstanding main event, Arnold Kagai versus Joet Gonzalez. To help me break it all down and answer some serious questions, in studio, Paulie Malignaggi, joining us via Zoom, Chris Algieri, and the man who set it all up, the boss, Gary Jonas. First thing I want to ask you, the logic in the main event. You've had great ones time after time. What was the logic in setting this one up? What were you after, Gary?
You know, action. The same. I mean, it's going to get boring if you ask me that question. It's action, always action. Trying to make the best fight we can possibly make. I think Arnold Kagai, he's number one in the WBO at 126 pounds. Against Joey Gonzalez, who's what, a three-time, he's had three shots at a belt. He's fought everybody from Shakur to Navarrete. He's been with everyone. So he's 26-4, but his four losses are to the top guys in the world. So it's a great matchup. Couldn't be more of a 50-50. I think Kagai is definitely taking a risk by taking this fight. But you got to respect it. Similar situation as Ramon Cardenas last week. So, and both action fighters. So, you know, as far as the 50-50 matchups and high-level fighters and action, I couldn't ask for more. So we're very excited about this fight. We think it's going to deliver what we've been trying to get done.
Yeah, with Kagai, you know, his only loss is to Stephen Fulton. He's on a good streak. What was the one thing that really attracted you to sort of want to bring him onto the network?
Look, we got to thank Top Rank for this one. I think Top Rank, Kagai was supposed to be or was an option for Angelo Leo. And that was in Top Rank's plans. And when Angelo was moved into his mandatory with Kameda May 24th in Japan, Kagai's got to stay busy. So I think that Top Rank looked to us and said, look, can you put him on and keep him busy? And we said, yeah, but you know the way it works here. It's got to be a 50-50 fight. So we suggested Joey Gonzalez. They accepted. So I give a lot of kudos to Kagai's camp and to Top Rank for saying, look, we don't mind. Let's do it.
Yeah, Gary, I mean, I feel like these two guys both epitomize, you know, what ProBox TV is all about. And you got to look past the numbers oftentimes with our matchups, which is why we confuse Vegas so much with the betting odds. You know, Kagai, yeah, he's got one loss, but he lost to Stephen Fulton. And he wasn't really competitive in that fight, so he kind of got written off. But in hindsight, especially with what Fulton has been able to do lately, it makes that loss seem less damaging. And now I got Kagai, he's got the one loss, and he's highly ranked throughout. One of those guys who kind of slips through the cracks. I'm recalling one of his fights, and he was deep on a top-rank undercard. And I'm like, who is this guy? He can really fight. And why is he so early on a card? And then Joet, you mentioned that, you know, he has those four losses and competed for titles 3 times. And other than the Shakur Stevenson fight, all of those fights were actually competitive and a lot of fun to watch. So you got two guys. You got the one guy who's fallen between the cracks but is very good. And then you got Joet, who's taken a couple of losses but is always exciting. And you're putting them together. Can you speak to, you know, just that mindset and how hard you are actually working on these as well as the matchmakers to guarantee good matchups?
Well, you know, you open your big mouth and you set a precedent and you sort of put your foot in your mouth, right? Now the pressure's on. We got to really deliver. People setting an expectation, and you know that pressure, you know, makes diamonds. So we work very hard at delivering these fights and finding them, because these are guys that could be on major platforms. So that's that same old story. And I just think this is a very interesting fight because, like you said, Kagai has only losses to Fulton, but at the same time, the rest of his wins are nothing to speak of. And here's Joet Gonzalez, who's like, his only losses have been at very close fights. He gave some of the more impressive guys. Navarrete was 116, 112. I think this
Fernando Lopez.
Yeah, I'm, you know, on paper, this sets up for Gonzalez to be the favorite, in my opinion. So great fight. Very happy to be able to headline that in our first trip to LA.
Let's talk about that theme continuing, the one you don't see. A lot of times we call them the snake in the grass in our co-main event. I think there might be one of those when it comes to Luis Torres. This is a guy, an impressive record, 21, but much like Brian Acosta, that ability to come out of nowhere, Mexican background, Mexican fights, has a chance to come in really strong against Nicholas Walters, who's a bit more of the known quantity. What's your thought on his chances in this fight?
Look, he's an interesting fighter. We had him on, if you guys remember, about a year ago, maybe a little longer in Sonora, packed house. He's a fun little fighter. He can really go. Entertaining kid. Then he went over to Argentina and he took a strange loss. Everybody's got excuses and circumstances, but it was strange indeed. So now he's back. He's taken a couple of wins to get back in get his confidence up, and now once again he's jumping in to a very, very interesting fight. So he's a real good fighter and Mexican, a fun fighter, action fighter, fits this LA market well. And versus Walters, I mean, I'll jump right into Walters and say that he obviously got back on track with us. He had a big win against Joseph Adorno on our network or on our channel. And again, this is one of those fights I wouldn't know who to bet on. I wouldn't know who to pick. So I think it's going to be a fun fight. Walters is always intriguing to see what he's got left in the tank, and we'll find out what the young guy has. So great co-main event.
Gary, sticking with Kagai, you mentioned that he was being brought up as an opponent for Angelo Leo. Should Leo be successful against Kameda, is the winner of this fight between Kagai and Gonzalez being looked at as the next guy in line for that title shot?
I think that's very possible. I don't want to speak for Top Rank, but I know Top Rank had mentioned Kagai. And it's possible Joet gets another chance if he beats Kagai. So it could very well be that that's kind of what's cooking. And as you know, Paulie, anything can happen. There's unification bouts. There's a lot of stuff going on, but very well possibly be the winner fights Angelo Leo.
Gary, speaking of Nicholas Walters, former world champion, coming back, had a good win on our air last time out, was very, very impressive in that fight. And we had the chance to interview him recently, and I asked him, like, what is the goal here? What are you doing? Are you doing this just, for fun, just because you're out for a while? He said, no, I'm doing this to be a world champion again. With a win here, how much does that move the needle for a guy like Nicholas Walters to get back in there at the championship level?
I think it's a big deal. I think Adorno is one good win, but Adorno was, do it again, right? If he comes in and he handles Torres nicely, and I think he makes a major statement that he's got a lot left in the tank and that he deserves a bigger fight. I think he's a big enough name that, there's a lot of work out there for him in that weight class. So you could be right, Chris. This could be the win that has the bigger networks and the bigger fights taken more seriously.
Appreciate you so much, boss. Great going to my hometown, Long Beach, California, March 8th. We're all looking forward to a great card. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Well, I got to do this again.
Do it.
So the third fight, Sriracha versus Lopez.
Yeah.
And that's an absolute banger. So Louis Lopez against Sriracha, that is just going to be another high-level war. It's a really good fight. And so there we have it. We've got three. There's a couple of young guys, but I think I can get away without bringing them up for now. The fight will start off with two future stars and then jump right into these three fights. So I think the fans are in for a treat. People liked the February 8th show. I think March 8th can do that and better. That's the hope anyways. And I think it's a big deal for us to get over to LA. I really am looking forward. We had a nice turnout in San Antonio, relatively speaking, compared to some of the other people who've been through there. And I'm looking forward to getting over to LA and seeing how we're received there, but should be a really good card.
It's a fantastic fight town. Thank you so much for bringing the fights there. March 8th, do not miss them. Right now, download the ProBox TV app. Never miss your 50-50 all-action fights. Find out why millions are watching March 8th. ProBox TV, don't miss it right here.